Na 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 na. I wanna start a fight. Hey, I am Arby Allister, author of Blue Lights, Black Lights, Little Broken, and constantly writing. It never ends. And I have been doing a challenge lately in which I have been trying to record 75 videos in 75 days. You see, not really good or comfortable when it comes to this like talking to the camera situation, so to try and get myself better adapted to this, I am making like Nike and just doing it. So each day I have a different question, whether it be about myself or my books. And today's question is, what chapter am I most excited for readers to reach? And when it comes to Blue Lights, it's definitely chapter 7, The Tree. But I will want to talk more about the sequel, Black Lights. Um, my book, Blue Lights, is about two boys, African American, who lived different lives, right? But they're best friends. They grew up like two doors down from one another. And we have Dante, the narrator, who has both his parents at home. They're not doing like excellent, but they're doing all right. He's never needed more. He's never had to need for anything, you know? And there was enough for them to spare. Enough love, enough resources to spare, enough for the boy two doors down, Major, who lived with his neglectful mother and abusive stepfather, to endure in the love, shelter, and supplies of Dante's home. And it's about these systems that like continuously failed Major to the point where in order for him to live the kind of life that he wants to live, he had to save himself. But when a black boy becomes his own hero, he doesn't really get a cape. Most of the time he gets handcuffs. But that's Blue Lights. Black Lights takes the boys into a new area of life. They, in the first book, establish that their feelings for each other surpassed mere friendship, and they end up together like halfway through Blue Lights, which is like around chapter 7 is when they actually start acting on these feelings and like realizing that these feelings are real. And that's in Blue Lights. Black Lights, they're already together. They've been together for like 9-10 months now. It is the summer before their senior year, and they are at a drumline camp. And they are trying to earn scholarships to the school that they really want to go to. And that requires them to do things like be a part of a group of people that they don't know. And Dante and Major, since they were young, it's kind of just been them two. They never really had like a huge friend group or a friend group at all. It's pretty much just been A and B, yin and yang, just those two. We can make it if we try. So, them letting other people in, them dealing with people who did not grow up with them, so people making their impressions of them and talking about them and things of that nature is like all new things that they're dealing with. And it adds up. It stacks up, right? There is a lot of emotional pool in Black Lights, from discovering family that you never knew you had, to making new friends, to experiencing real jealousy for the first time. Not even just romantic jealousy, but also the fact of like my person who came to me for everything now no longer needs to come to me for everything, and I don't know how to feel about that. It's a process of them learning how to let other people in and coming to the realization that they don't need to be each other's everything, but also learning how to perceive themselves to other people who don't know them, and learning the things that makes the other tick when it comes to like public settings. So when a lot of this like drama and angst and anxiety and jealousy and self-questioning comes to a head, it leads to this like explosive moment that is both explosive physically, yes, and emotionally. And oh, I don't know exactly what chapter it is, but the boys experience their like first fights that they've had is at like in their relationship in this book. And this is the first like big fight that they had, where they both said things that they may not have meant to say, but they did mean, you know? And throughout the book, it was a lot of like pushing down emotions, keeping things to oneself, and they just had to, they just had to get it out, man. All their frustrations, even if that means like wood fist. Um, but this is the chapter that like I am most excited for readers to get to because of the build up. Like it's not even the explosion of the chapter; it is the build up that makes the chapter worth it. Because if I were to just like throw this chapter at you and sorry. So if I were to just like throw this chapter at you, I could read this chapter for you right now. It's not going to feel the same as someone who's read all the pages before this chapter and knows of all the stuff that's been festering and boiling and just like been sitting in the back of Dante's mind before he got to this point. And then when the point comes, you understand why this happened. And you feel for it. Because at the end of the day, they're still boys. Like, they're teenage boys. And when your emotions run that high, it feels like, and again, this is something else that like runs throughout the book. It's like those moments where they feel like how things were before, like before they were together. And a running fear that Dante has is if Major ever wanted to go back to that, Like, if he started to believe that they would be better off as friends the way they were, because for the first time they are realizing and seeing with their own eyes and experiencing just how big the world can be and just how many people are out there. And it fills both of them with a lot of doubt and anxiety about whether the other would still choose them when there are so many other people in the world. And it's depending on who you are, it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny because the person who starts the fight is definitely not the person who finishes the fight, which is also sad. And when I say fight, I do mean like they like throw down in the front yard in this book, which is also kind of like them fighting is not cute. But the matter of it being in the front yard, I was thinking like, oh, like that's cute, but it's only cute in my head because they were at a college campus, and Dante's dad had to like pick them up to go home for the weekend. The way that their system works is that uh, Monday through Friday, Sunday night through Friday afternoon, they are on the college campus, and then they go home Friday afternoon, and they get to go home for the weekend. So it's Friday. Dante's dad picks them up. He brings them home, and it's not until they're back in their own neighborhood that they even start opening up and talking. And it's not until they are in the comfort of their own home that they feel safe enough to let these emotions out. Like both of them throughout the entire car ride was just sitting on this, just holding on to it, and it didn't start emerging until after they started getting back into their own neighborhood, into something familiar. And that was when they knew that, well, that was when everything started. But it's because whether they like logistically knew or if it was just a feeling, but they knew that at home it was safe enough for these emotions to fly and for things to be able to be recovered. But out there in the world full of mysteries, they don't know if something like that can be contained. And also, like, Dante's parents are there, so they like got referees to like, hey, yo, stop. Not that that worked, even though they didn't really try very hard. Dante's mom told them to stop, and then Dante's dad just like let it happen because they were already like fighting so much, and it seemed like Dante had like a lot of things built up. And for those who have read from Blue Lights to Black Lights, you can tell that the only real person that Dante has ever really measured himself up against was Major. And Dante has always viewed himself as weak compared to Major. And this is something that like really has messed with him and struck and like stuck with him, especially in the matter of like there's another character who has referred to Dante as like the B word on a couple of occasions, which he hates because he kind of feels like he is, at least when compared to Major. So in a backwards effort to try and prove to himself that he's not, he takes on the person that he's always measured himself up against. And when he loses, it does not do much for his self-esteem. Not that his self-esteem needed an ego boost at that moment anyways, because he was definitely in the wrong. But when I was like sharing, what first off, when I was like writing these moments, I was so distraught that I had to like call my cousin and talk to him and pretty much spoil the book for him on what was happening and like share some of the scenes that I was writing. And he said, and again, this is my cousin who like is in a, like, he is gay. He's married to a man. I love them both. But said it like, I find it like really interesting and really satisfying that the thing that they are fighting over is feelings and not like any physical thing, because neither of them necessarily did anything wrong, but both of them had hurt each other in ways that probably shouldn't have hurt, but because they didn't talk about it, built up into something that caused enough pain emotionally that the only way to make it make sense was physically. In the aftermath of it, the this is even before the like talking and making up, just a matter of Dante coming to his senses after Major has already left. And I love this. I love this so much. The conversation that he has with his parents. I feel like in a lot of YA books, we tend to eliminate the parents like as soon as possible. Like every single time things are happening, the parents are out of town, they're at work, they're like non-existent, they got kidnapped, I don't know, whatever it takes to get rid of the parents so that way the teenagers can make dumb choices. But there's this moment where Dante is like realizes that it's been hours and he fell asleep. When he woke up, Major is still not home. So he's like in a frantic, like, I'm going to go get him. And his parents is like, absolutely not. Dad takes his keys, like, my boy, sit down. We gotta talk. And they talk. And they hear his frustrations. And they communicate through things. In the end, they laugh through some things. And everything is not okay. But with the guidance of his parents, he like knows what the path to being okay looks like. And now it's up to him and Major to take those steps down that path if they so choose after what had happened. But that is the chapter that I am looking forward to people reaching the most. It's like pretty deep in the book, though. Again, the reason for this is because of the build up that makes the impactful the way that it is. There are so many books, movies, TV shows that just like do things for the sake of hysterics. But like them getting into a fight is not a shock value pool here. It's like a one inevitable, not inevitable, but like a come to reality, really. It is chapter 32. Chapter 32 and chapter 33 are the chapters that like I am most excited for readers to get to. These are the chapters. The other day when I was talking about what scared me most about writing my sequel, I said that when I had people reading it before it was released, that there was a moment in which two of the people who were reading had stopped reading entirely and had to take a break because of big feelings. This is the chapters in which those big feelings occurred and they had to stop for like a week before they felt emotionally secure enough to continue. So although this is a chapter that I am excited for people to reach, this is also a chapter in which I am fearful that I may lose people. especially when it comes to like domestic violence. But the way that this is framed, it doesn't feel like a situation in which like domestic violence is violence. Like no, it's no. But it's not a moment of which I'm trying to gain power over you. It's a moment of frustration and like I know we've not. I'm not gonna say I know we all seen, but like there's always been this thing with boys where they will get to these like peaks of emotions. They will throw down. They'll be cool afterwards. Like sometimes it feels like when the emotional peaks hit, it doesn't feel real until you can physically feel it. And they snap. And it's pretty mutual. Like yes, one starts it, but like they both snap. But it is something that will never happen again between those two. I was talking about like when I talked about what makes a good sequel, I was talking about not going back on the like progression that characters make, and this is a moment that they learn from, and I will not make them double back and forget this moment because it is like again this was their like first big fight, so they're not going to forget what happened, the outcome, how it made each other feel, what it made each other do. That's not something that's just going to be erased. So yeah, it'll never happen again. But I think I'm done for today. I always forget to do this, but like, you know, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I will see you tomorrow. Bye.